The following program is a public access production. Comcast is required to provide time on this channel and make it available pursuant to franchise agreements with the communities we serve. Comcast is not affiliated with the following program or the producers of public access programming and is not responsible for the content. The following program does not reflect the opinions of Comcast or its affiliates.
Welcome to another edition of Discover Tinley, where we highlight the people and organizations in town that make Tinley Park a great place in which to live. And as we all know, Tinley Park is a pretty great place in which to live. My name is Ron Centanni. I'll be your host today, and look forward to having some very special guests on our show today. Summer is over and fall is upon us pretty good. I can't believe summer went by so quickly. Hope you all are enjoying the fall season here and enjoying some of the good weather that we're having here. Hopefully sometime pretty soon we'll be having to stop cutting our grass and enjoy being off. Things happening over the fall. Look for tinleypark.org to see what's happening in town. Our guests today are some very special people that are involved with both in service of Tinley Park and in development of Tinley Park. A lot of things are going on in town here, and we wanted to talk to some people who have a lot to do with what's happening in town. And our first guests have a lot to do with the safety and well-being of our people in town here, and that's our ambulance service in Tinley Park. And we have some paramedics who are very involved with the Tinley Park ambulance service, Sam Lee and Ryan Barth. Thanks for coming to Discover Tinley.
Thanks for having us.
Paramedics, that's a pretty hefty title there. What's it take to be a paramedic nowadays?
So for becoming a paramedic, usually it starts, you go to school, you get your EMT, which is a 6-month class. When I went through it, after that you qualify. If you pass all your things, you can go on to paramedic school, which is 1 to 2 years. When I went through at a fire department. They sponsored me throughout, and then I moved to the company I work for now, and they sponsored me to go out through paramedic school.
How about you, Ryan? What did you go through?
Similar story. I went to Malcolm X College in the city. I wasn't affiliated with any departments or anything. And I chose them because they interned with the Chicago Fire Department. So I thought that was the best way to get the experience on the street, you know, from a practical sense. Mm-hmm. It took about a year. I was an EMT for 2 years before that, and then I've been doing this ever since.
So it takes a while to get qualified for that. It's not something you can do overnight there in a couple of weeks, is it?
No.
No, that's really special. What kind of things do you think should people know or be like to get in a profession? If a young person wants to get into be a paramedic, what kind of personality, what kind of person do you think should go into that kind of work?
You definitely have to have, I think, the ambition to want to do it, to want to help people.
Okay.
I'd say maybe a little bit of a thicker skin, you know, because sometimes you're not in every situation where, you know, your patients are the most pleasant people to deal with. You know, we're in all sorts of different situations, and
you got to be able to think on the fly. You got to be able to problem solve. Calls, when you get them in a textbook situation, they all seem to go one way, but out in the field anything can happen. Yeah. So you kind of got to be ready.
Let's talk about the things you can run into. What are the range of situations that you do? From what kind of things are you involved in? Talk about as many things that you have to deal with.
In Tinley Park, there's a lot of things that go on in Tinley Park. We have car accidents seem to be one of our biggest calls. I think that's pretty typical for any fire department. We have falls, we have citizen assists, we have diabetic emergencies, heart attacks, anything, you name it, overdosing
Oh my.
in Tinley Park. Yep.
Ooh, and I was asking before, how many calls a day do you usually average? What are you out at?
It depends. You know, it kind of both broad ends of the spectrum. We could have days where we don't really do anything, you know, in a 24-hour period, and then there's days where we run up to 13 or 14 calls.
Oh
I'd say on average, probably around 6
Okay.
is usually a typical day for us.
Okay.
And then obviously what time of the day could be anything, but primarily these seem to always happen in the middle of the night. So,
Oh no.
yeah.
Ooh, let's tell
Yeah.
people that time things a little better.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And some of the rougher situations you've had to deal with. What are some of the toughest? What's some of the toughest things, the most frustrating things you got to deal with, and the most satisfying things you got to deal with?
Some of the frustrating things we have to deal with are unruly patients, unruly family members of patients. Friday nights we usually get a lot of people who go out partying and they're intoxicated and they don't like to see the police. They don't like to really see us all that much. They kind of want to be left alone. But
You're the friendlies, though. They
yeah,
shouldn't
I
mind
mean,
seeing
yeah,
you.
you think so? Most of the calls that we go on, we have police come with us.
Oh.
So sometimes they get upset at them. Sometimes they get upset at us. But you know, can't really control people like that. You just kind of got to deal with it.
Oh my. Wow. You got any frustrating situations you have to deal with?
Yeah, I mean, similar stuff. I mean, it's, you know, a lot of times people don't understand that you're actually trying to help them, you know, whether that be they're in a different state of mind or altered level of consciousness due to, you know, alcohol or just because they're sick. You know, sometimes people can have strokes and become very confused. And that's kind of maybe a little bit more difficult, you know, part of it sometimes. But, you know, at the same time, there's nice things that happen too. You know,
Yeah, what are some of the good, the satisfying situations that you go through that make you kind of feel like, hey, I'm doing pretty good, this is a pretty neat job?
Some of the really satisfying situations are when you do help somebody who's having some sort of medical problem, and then you just see them out in Tinley Park.
Oh.
We're both local, so every now and then you'll run into them at the grocery store, and someone you helped, and they'll just give you a nod or a wave, and kind of just go on with their day.
That's kinda, and you're both Tinley Park residents too, right?
Yeah.
Now you've lived in town for a while, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I've been here for about 13 years now.
Wow. Okay. Glad you like Tinley.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're from the local area too, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Oak Forest. My wife and I moved here a little over a year ago.
Okay.
So,
Wow. Okay. Talk about your hours, your days. What's a typical day and shift like for you guys? What do you work on and off, and what do you do?
So we do 24 on, 48 off schedule. So one day I will work, and then he will relieve me in the morning, and then our third partner would relieve us the next morning, and we just work on and off of that. So it's 24/7, 365 days a year. We all kind of
You don't get holidays off?
no. No, sometimes you get lucky and you can trade them to somebody who's looking to make a little overtime money. But
Okay.
yeah, we're 24 hours a day,
Oh my.
and we have our 48 off.
And how many people are on a shift, and where is everybody located at? And you two are supervisors, I noticed too. So,
Yes.
who do you supervise, and what do you do in that position?
so we have 5 different ambulances in town. 2 are located at Station 1, which is, you know, 173rd Place, Oak Parkish area. Then there's Station 2, which 167th and Paxton, kind of. Station 3, which 175th and west of, about 92nd Avenue. And then Station 4, which is by Target, 191st and Harlem area. Each of those firehouses house 1 ambulance. Like I said before, our house, Station 1, which Sam and I are both out of, has 2 ambulances. So we have 8 people on our shift, 8 paramedics that we're in charge of, with an additional 2 that are on the second ambulance in our station, and they rotate. They're not really part of our shift, though. It gets kind of confusing because they're the only ones there that don't work a shift of 24 hours. They work 18-hour shifts,
Oh.
that particular ambulance.
Their ambulance is on to pull the bulk, like during the day. Most of our calls come between, I would say, like 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. So we have them on as a schedule to kind of pick up a lot of the overflow calls that we get.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, how do you work it when, say, your ambulance gets called out, and you get a second call for that same location? How do you deal with that? Does another ambulance come from another station, or how do you?
So that's what the extra ambulance is kind of for.
Oh, okay.
When an ambulance goes out, they'll go cover that station, and then they'll pick up the overflow.
Oh.
And if we have multiple calls go out, it just, whoever's closest takes the call.
Oh, is that right? And what happens after that? Now, how do you determine where you take the people to? How does that determined?
It kind of depends on the level of emergency. Obviously, people have preference sometimes, or somebody might have a cardiologist out of a particular hospital they want to go to. And if it's not...
So you have a choice of where you get taken?
Yes and no.
Oh.
Okay, so if somebody's, like I said, not a true, life and death situation, I guess is the best way to put it, and it's, a matter of 5 minutes, the person may sign a waiver, and then they can go to the hospital of their choice. That being said, that waiver that they sign can still be overruled by the governing hospital receiving that particular patient. So if we call and say that they would like to come here, this is where their doctor is, and we give them a detailed radio report on their vital signs, the doctor will say, I'm sorry, they're too sick, they need to go to a closer hospital.
Oh.
So, but primarily we usually go to the closest, hospital from that location, whether that's Payless Hospital, Silver Cross, South Suburban, Olympia Fields, all the area hospitals.
So you will contact the hospital before you even start going, say, hey, can we take somebody there,
Absolutely.
Every call, we have to contact the hospital and let them know where we're going.
Oh, and then if they say no, you got to find someplace else, huh?
Yeah.
Do you ever run out of places to go?
Unfortunately, when a hospital gets too busy, or all the hospitals in the area get too busy, they all have to reopen back up. So.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh my. Okay. And do you have kind of a goal in mind of how long it takes you to get to make a response, or what's your kind of
in Tinley
time
Park, we have a 6-minute response time. So from our tones going off, the start of our call, till we get to scene, we try and hit 6 minutes. I think right now we're at about 4:30.
Yeah, that's our average.
We're pretty good at hitting our times on that 6 minutes. Sometimes we go over, sometimes we're way under.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, if it's right down the street or
Right.
close by or something like that.
Yeah.
That's going to be frustrating to some people sometimes. They might think you're taking forever to get there, and here it's only 5 minutes, right?
Yeah. More often than not, they're pretty happy to see us there.
Oh, I bet.
in under
Usually
six.
they say, I can't believe you got here so
Yeah.
fast.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
so-
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Are there some things you can't do while you're transporting, or are there things you do normally? What kind of things can you do inside that ambulance, and what things can't you do?
It's basically a capable little mobile emergency room.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, we don't have all the extra hands that a hospital does, but we could do anything from chemically sedate a patient so we can intubate them so they can breathe, to cardiovert a patient, to defibrillate a patient, to administer all sorts of different medications, depending on whatever that particular scenario is for their condition. There's a lot of different things we can do. I mean...
Oh, wow.
Everything that we can't do, we are taught pretty well what we can't do in the ambulance. We have a strict series of SMOs that we have to follow. We really can't
What's
work
an
outside
SMO?
them. Standing medical order.
Okay.
We can't work outside them.
Oh, okay.
So if we get a call for this and we think this may help, and it's not in our SMOs, we legally can't do it. So.
Okay.
It's essentially an algorithm that we follow, where if a particular patient presents with certain, hallmark signs or symptoms, we go from these standing medical orders that we, obviously have memorized,
Okay.
and we go from there and contact the hospital and do what we need to do.
Now, do you go through regular training throughout the year too? I mean, when you're not doing something, are you kind of sitting there reading books or doing some other training? Huh?
Well, so in the system that Tinley Park is in, the South Cook system, we have a quota continuing education we have to meet. So every month in the firehouse, we'll all get together and do some of the CE together, and so we can keep our license up to date. Every 4 years, you need so many hours to keep the keep your license good.
Okay, so you got to keep up with your training and education and stuff there. And the downtime, is that what you're doing sometimes when there's no calls? You're sitting there?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes we cook, sometimes we study,
Okay.
sometimes we just
Yeah,
relax.
so we
and
got
wait for the next
one
call.
last question. What do you cook in the station there?
We do a lot of chili.
Oh, is
We
that
do a lot of chili at our station.
Oh, jeez. Who's the good cooks?
I try. I'm not good, but I do my best. And
Now, would you cook for the whole fire station or just for you guys?
When I cook, yeah, I do. I do most of the station. As
Oh,
long as
is that
people
right?
want in, I'll cook for them.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess they don't need an ambulance service for your cooking, so you must be okay.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much. You guys are doing a tremendous job and obviously life-saving job, so we couldn't do without you. So thank you so much for all you do, and keep up the good work in Tinley Park Ambulance Service. And if you need some good ambulance service, we got a good one in Tinley Park, so thanks for coming.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Well, it was very interesting talking to our some of our great paramedics in Tinley Park, and we're very fortunate we've got such good paramedics helping our people in town here. Tinley Park also is doing a lot of development now. As you know, things are going on in town here. Maybe you know some things you don't know, but a lot of good development happening to improve the economic condition of Tinley Park. And a few months ago, we took on a brand new economic development manager by the name of Patrick Hoban to help us develop Tinley Park. So, Patrick, thanks for coming to Discover Tinley.
Thanks to be here.
Yeah. What's your background now? What's your background as an economic development person?
My background originally got started in advertising. I was an advertisement madman, if you will.
Oh, geez.
Graphic design, web design. From there, I started working for a commercial real estate developer. And so my resume had real estate development and advertising, and our local economic development corporation in Decatur said, if you can sell real estate, come sell the whole town. So they recruited me in. I did economic development for about 10 years down in Decatur, Illinois, more manufacturing based. And then from there, education-wise, I went through the Economic Development Institute at Oklahoma University. I'm a certified economic developer, and also I took the basic economic development course from Tinley Park's very own Ivan Baker, which is a nice tie to Tinley, so I knew Tinley. And then from there, we used to come up here with the family with my girls to see concerts all the time. So when this opened up, it looked like a pretty good spot to do economic development. Big Bears fans, big Notre Dame fans, and you guys are at the crossroads. So
Oh, yeah.
here we are. Yeah.
Wow. That's a good haul from Decatur up here, though. I
is,
give you
but
credit.
For us, being in Central Illinois, there's not as much going on as Chicagoland, so we had to travel to do our entertainment.
Oh, wow. Well, I hope you liked it up here. I like it going up here.
Yeah, no, so far so good. The biggest difference is, I just say all the traffic that's up here. It's kind of funny, downstate, we always measure things in miles. Up here, it's measured in minutes.
Hours.
Hours some days.
Now, what's your job like? What is an economic development manager doing for Tinley Park? What's your scope of your position?
The scope is all the way across the board. Some days I can be working on helping out with workforce development, trying to meet the needs. Overall, though, it's all about improving the quality of life and helping our businesses grow and attracting new businesses. And there's a variety of ways to do that. You can start off with just basic infrastructure. Widening roads can create more traffic. More traffic brings in more value to land that's there because of the roads and the cars that are on the road. But the biggest sell for Tinley Park right now is 140,000 cars per day going down I-80.
Oh, my.
So with that many cars and that much retail right there, it's really easy to attract more.
How do we get them to come off into Harlem and to come over into Tinley Park?
You have to have destinations, and one of the big destinations that we could have coming forward is going to be that mental health center. That's a big opportunity sitting there, 280 acres right in the heart of Tinley Park. That's another reason I took this position, because I want to build my career.
What do you know about that and what's going on with that now? What's
right
the progress with that?
The progress is we're waiting on the state of Illinois to come up with a price tag for it. So once that price is understood, we need to figure out what it's going to take to clean it up. And then from there, there's plenty of developers already interested in it.
Oh, yeah.
We do what's called a FAM tour, familiarization tour. I've driven about 7 or 8 different developers around Tinley Park, just letting them know what's going on and showing them that opportunity. And they see it as a great opportunity because of the access to I-80 and plus being on the corner of 183rd and Harlem, and then all the co-tenancy going on with other retailers and the hotels. That's a lot of
Can
traffic.
you reveal what kind of development may be going on there, or who's interested in developing
Not
that?
who's interested. The type of development, definitely some commercial aspects, and there's also been some from a big kick in the solar arena.
Oh.
There's because some of the area could be determined as a brownfield, and if so, there are federal credits you can get for doing solar farms. And so a solar farm, a smaller one, might not be a bad opportunity for that area.
Oh, my. Yeah. Right. And what's the timeline for that? What's going on next? Or
Well,
now, is the state for sure going to sell it to Tinley Park, or can the state give it to somebody else?
I believe we have the first right of refusal.
Oh,
so we're
okay.
waiting for the state right now to get their appraisals back to put the price tag on it. And timeline-wise, I'd like to give you, 2 to 3 months,
Oh,
but
no.
we'll just leave it there.
Yeah. That's okay.
I'm not going to guarantee.
No, I don't. Now a whole bunch of meetings were held to kind of see what the people wanted. Is that going into that? Is that part of the process? Using that input?
I think some of that input, yeah, definitely. We're always going to listen to the citizens, regardless
Okay.
of what it is. It doesn't matter if it's just that site or what businesses we want here. We need to ask, hear from our citizens, and definitely feedback is huge. So we'll take that into consideration when we're dealing with the state and approaching developers, because we need to master plan it, we need to lay out the zoning, and then hopefully chop it up and sell it to individual people that'll give us what we want.
Ah, okay. So you want to sell it to people to develop it rather than the village doing all that.
Right. I don't really want to get in the development game, but if there's a certain area that we think would be better off for commercial, I'd like to bring in commercial developers to take care of that. One idea is offer part of it to Top Golf. I think it'd be a great location for Top Golf with all the hotels surrounding it.
Oh my.
So there's a variety of things we can do. It's just a matter of, one, you have to get control of it.
Now, how about you mentioned the cleanup? Is that a huge concern or?
Not at the moment, just because the feds always have funds rolling, and we can contact the Illinois EPA and the EPA to tap into some of those funds, and there are developers that specialize in that. And that's also something that we've done back in Decatur before, so we still have all those contacts.
Let's talk about some other things. What other things are you working on in Tinley Park that going to help develop us into a big entity here?
I think right now one of the most exciting things that I see is just, downtowns are kind of like the lifeline of a lot of communities, and that creates that destination. How do we get them off of I-80? Well, you have a great downtown. And one of the directives we have from the mayor is create some kind of a playbook to, breathe some life back in the downtown. Right now, if everything lines up right, we could have a very busy summer next summer, right around the train station.
Really? Next summer?
Next summer, if everything lines up just right.
Can you give us some hints about what you're looking at?
What we're looking at doing right now is we have a TIF that's downtown, tax increment finance.
Yeah. What's a TIF district for people?
So what a TIF district will do, it's called tax increment financing, and it creates a district around certain parcels of land. And what that does is it'll freeze all of the property tax assessment at a certain rate. Anything new that's created from new development will create an increment. So that can go into a bucket that we can use to either improve the streets, overall infrastructure improvements, or rebate back to the developer to help build more. And so they had a development lined up about 10 years ago, the South Street development, and different development agreements, everything was ready to roll, and then the recession hit. And since then, 10 years have passed. Well, TIFs only last 23 years. And so I came in, we were looking at doing some analysis on some projects, and we started running the numbers out, and we realized that we're not going to make our money back, and neither are you. So we need to reset this TIF. And so essentially what we'd like to do is collapse the TIF that's currently there and create a new one, because there's all the vacant school land on the Central Middle School site. There's the land on the North Street side, the South Street side. That's like, we have to give this thing another shot. So the village board did approve doing a study. So right now we have a study underway on what it's going to take to create a new TIF down there to hopefully spur development by next summer.
And what extension can you get on that? Can you go for another 23 years then? Or?
It'd be another 23 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we would just restart it, because what we have is actually negative right now. Because when they did the original TIF, there were buildings there. Those buildings are gone, so the TIF actually went the wrong direction.
Oh.
So if we did get new buildings put on there, it won't last as long, and it's already facing a deficit.
Oh my. Are there any projections of what might be going in there, or is it too early to tell what kind of things you're even looking at?
There are a couple, well, we'll just say that they're mixed use. So you've got commercial on the main floor, some nice restaurants you're looking at the area, and some residential on top, which would be really good, because it's what's known as a TOD, transit-oriented development, which is great right next to a train station. And talking to a lot of our downtown businesses, having more residents downtown equals more customers. And that's just something that the younger generation, and also empty nesters. So once the kids are out of the house, and they like to downsize, not worry about the yard anymore, it'd be nice to live in a downtown area.
Oh my. How about Oak Park Avenue? Anything going along Oak Park Avenue too?
The plan with that is, when I came in, they had this, the legacy plan.
Yes.
And a legacy code, and as I've been talking to different developers and looking at certain areas, they'd really like to invest in some of them, but because of the way that it's designed right now, they can't really invest in the commercial areas. So we're trying to look at the code to figure out what they're going to need in order to make some things happen down there. I mean, because there's a lot of commercial opportunities, but the programs aren't there, and that's something that the TIF can help out with. So once these new developments happen, we could have some money to help with facades, beautification programs, landscaping. There's a lot of different things we can do.
Now, how do you entice people to come to Tinley Park? What kind of things do you tell them? What kind of things do you do to get them to look at Tinley Park and say, we'd like to come there?
It really depends on who they are. I mean, we really do, instead of an overall blast, I'd rather take a sniper approach. So I'll look through and figure out what our gaps are when it comes to retail. We can actually determine what our sales are locally compared to what the region can support, and that will determine a gap. From there, we'll send them a package, try and get them out for those familiarization tours to drive them around, let them know that your product is needed here, give them the available sites that we have, and just really just show them the amount of traffic that's coming through, I mean, cutting right through town. And the other thing is the co-tenancy. So knowing what the other retailers in the area that are like theirs and how much that they could make. So right now our biggest co-tenancy is definitely car dealerships. The other one is going to be hotels. There's still more hotels.
Really?
One underway right now.
More hotels are coming?
More hotels. There's a demand for hotels.
Really?
Wood
In
Springs
Tinley
is
Park?
in
Oh,
Tinley
my.
Park. So we love outside money because
Okay.
they can come in here and they can
Yeah,
support
yeah,
our
yeah.
restaurants and
Yeah, yeah.
helps us with everything else that we do. But the other thing that we can do is really talk to the manufacturers that we have here and figure out who their suppliers are and who their buyers are. And when we get those contacts, we bring them closer because everybody likes to save money on logistics.
That's it. That's it. Wow. And how about this new branding thing, though? What's going on with that, and how is that incorporating into Tinley Park?
It's all about being life amplified. It's got the
Okay.
music theme, and actually, whenever I took the position, I came up here and they asked me, "So, how do you know Tinley?" It was from the music theater, and since we've been here, we've probably been to 3 or 4 shows already. And, you've got Pink playing this weekend, and we took the kids to Paul McCartney.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's we're
I was out of town that week. I'd like to have seen that.
It was great.
Was it?
Yeah, my kids are pretty young and they loved it. And so we're really trying to capitalize on that brand. So if I do go out of state or out of town, I talk about Tinley Park. I mean, I can tell them, we're known for music. We're known for the music, the amphitheater, and that's how I knew Tinley. So it's a really easy brand for people to remember.
Okay, is it going to be an easy sell for people too to kind of build on then?
I believe so. I mean, it's all about getting stuck in people's minds. They need to remember you for what you are, and we're known for that amphitheater, and we're known for music, and we like to say music's in our DNA. So we're going to attach it to everything that we have and ride that.
What did you know about Tinley before? You said you did music. What had you heard about Tinley before you came here?
That it is right on the edge. You guys are on the edge of one of the greatest metros in the United States, and having access to that market is it's phenomenal. And the 2 train stations, like, you couldn't ask for anything better than that. That's great. The biggest thing about Tinley, though, I think really is it's the workforce. I mean, whenever you're doing economic development, you need resources, whether it's water, whether it's rail. Transportation is huge, but without the workforce, you're not doing anything. And Tinley's got one of the best workforces in the entire area, I believe.
Oh, really?
And that's really what I sell. I sell the residents. Like, if you want to attract retail or other companies that are going to open up shop here, you need the workers, and that's where the residents come in.
And I've heard we've established a number of new businesses over the last year. Is that pretty much true then?
It's shocking to me, actually, how much is going on. I arrived and they handed me 80 projects, and it was trial by fire. It's just like, get going, here's what we have, finish these through. And right off the bat, there was a 1 million square foot in block, and they were talking about relocating somewhere else. And I said, guys, I just got here. You can't take away a 1 million square foot building after I've been on the job for a month.
Right.
So we worked out an incentive package for them. They stayed, and then the developer that has in block actually is building a 300,000 square foot spec right next door. So it's been fast and furious, and right now we're actually closer to 200 projects. So
my goodness.
That's what I'm saying. Next summer it's going to be busy.
Real quickly, what's your goals for Tinley Park?
My goals for Tinley Park, I want to leave it better than I found it. Bottom line. I mean, I've got 2 daughters. We're here. I said, you guys have me guaranteed for about at least 7 years till they graduate. So 7 to 10, I'm going to leave my mark and build my career around that mental health center.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I hope it's within your tenure here that we have that mental health center developed.
Yeah, same here.
That's actually well.
Right.
Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed coming here. I'm glad you like Tinley Park, and look forward to having you develop and Tinley into the entity it really could become. I know I've lived here for over 40 years, and I've seen it develop, and I want to see it keep going more.
That's the plan.
So good luck to you in your development.
Thanks.
We got some good people on tonight. The emergency medical people, the paramedics who are providing a great life-saving service, and our economic development, which sounds like it's really on a tear. So Tinley Park is going places. So thanks for watching Discover Tinley tonight, and we'll see you next month.